Welcome to Live Stories, a podcast that holds space for inspirational interactions that are real about navigating the challenging journey of separation and divorce. Expect laughter and some tears. It's all welcomed because Lived Stories is meant to be a safe space. Welcome to Lived Stories. I am your host, Liv Lewis. And today, I am here with my good friend, kicking it with my good friend, Dari Daniels. Hey,
Hey,
girl,
hey,
hey.
hey, 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 hey.
How you doing? How are you?
I'm good, girl. How are you?
I'm great. I just had a Pilates class and it was supposed to be one of those like balanced, low key, not really stretching, but it ended up being like, I thought I wasn't gonna sweat today, but
Mm,
she said
mm,
differently. But I'm feeling loose. I'm feeling ready for our conversation.
Staying ready.
She says she's ready. So before we get into it,
Yes.
I want to introduce y'all listeners to Dari in her own words. And um, my format is really intentional around not necessarily focusing on what people do, but more so who they are and who they've come to be in, experiencing divorce and separation. And so I'm going to read what Dari wrote. It's so cute. I love it. And she writes, I delight in forging genuine connections and creating unforgettable memories, preferring quiet moments to the spotlight. I radiate joy and spontaneity in every interaction and am fueled by a passion for travel and discovery. Mm. Ooh, there's like intrigue, there's like spontaneity, there's like joy. It's like, was she intentional about all that she was writing?
Yes, very intentional.
I can say there are words in here that I resonate with because Dari resides in Cincinnati, so big up to the folks from Cincinnati who are listening. And I frequently travel there for business and for work. And so when I have downtime, which is very rare, the people that I reach out to usually, I speak in emojis. So I say I send two eyeballs, and it's usually mean like, "What's up?" And there's a pleasure that I picked up on when Dari takes me to a Cincinnati hot spot slash low key place. And I'm experiencing it for the first time, like, oh, they got this in Cincinnati. And then she's like, homegrown, yes, boo, kind of thing.
And
So I
do.
can relate. I can relate to the I radiate joy and spontaneity in every interaction because it's been so real and true about you and our relationship that we fostered through the
Yeah.
years as well. So before we
Yeah.
get started, I wanted to say thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to sharing your story. I want to encourage you, hey, we are just kicking it, two girlfriends talking. And where I want to start is a little bit more of some context on your overall belief about marriage
Yeah.
and when you got married.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for thinking of me and having me on here. And I'm truly, honored to, share my story. I would honestly say that this was a challenge for me, and I probably
Mm.
would have never done this because I don't
Mm.
like the spotlight.
Right, right,
But I feel like everybody needs to, hear and they or learn from a different experience. So here
right,
I am.
right.
But
I'm proud of
marriage,
you.
thank
Growth. Okay,
you.
growth. Okay,
Growth,
evolution.
growth. But yes, marriage to me, I kind of looked at it as a very like spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the church. I always looked at, as marriage as something to be sacred, something that is like near and dear and pretty much, if you got it, kind of keep hold on to it, do,
Mm-hmm.
that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But when I got into marriage, I quickly understood that my definition going into it was like totally skewed.
Mm. So wait,
So,
so the definition was it's something you cherish, it's something you hold on to.
mhm.
Um, the actual marriage or the person?
I would say the actual, like, a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say a combination of both. I did walk into an understanding that marriage does take work. Like no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always peaches
Mm-hmm.
and roses and sunshine and rosé. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I didn't think that it would be so hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so from that, I think that, as I'm like kind of navigating through it, I'm quickly figuring out that my definition going into it probably needed to be like loosely waved so that I wasn't so one hard on myself or like trying to like figure out how to like knick-knack and make it work and be perfect and be misunderstandable and all of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. So yeah, it is that I would definitely say my definition was skewed. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it probably was skewed only because I didn't grow up with a family who had like healthy relationships or
Mm-hmm.
a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Like when
Mm-hmm.
I learned what a healthy marriage was, that was like well off in my late 20s,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
it was just relationships pretty much, and they
Mm-hmm.
weren't the most healthiest.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You hit on something that I just wrote down in be perfect, right? And when
mhm.
you think about what's modeled, like I come from a broken home as well, and so nothing was modeled for me. My hints of marriage is what I saw on television or what
Mhm.
I imagined it to be from storybooks. And so
Yeah.
when you talk about the work of it, what did you realize about the work of it that was like, whoa?
I would say meshing two personalities in
Mm-hmm.
their mid to late 20s, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was the challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, sometimes you can compromise or, finagle some things and work it out. But like your core values in your 20s is what they are. They're not changing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that that was the most hardest for me is was
Mm-hmm.
to say because I'm a fixer. I'm like, hey, look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
I'm gonna try
fix
to fix
this.
it. I'm gonna make
Mm-hmm.
it work. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
change it. And I quickly realized that is not always the case.
Mm. So for me, I thought, so the work of it, I didn't realize was like the dying to self of it. Like I thought it was like, oh, I'm a worker. Like I'm a hard worker. I'm an athlete by nature. I played sports.
Yeah.
So it was team in my mind. And I assumed it was gonna be like, oh, we a team, but I
Hmm.
wasn't gonna die to the things I wanted for
Hmm.
you. Like for
Yeah.
real, for real. Like I'm gonna
Like,
be
what's the
I was like,
compromise here?
I'm gonna pretend, but it's gonna go my way, which is really ego, right? So
Yeah.
when it was like a constant dying to self that didn't feel good, I was like, this kind of for the birds. Like, why?
Exactly. And it kind of makes you think like, am I losing myself? Like,
Mm,
am I getting rid of like my core values, like what I believe in, like what I trust
mm,
in order to make this work? I
mm,
think that that's the that's the aha moment. Like, okay, I
mm,
get that, we do
mm,
have to die to self, and it cannot always be about us in a relationship. But
mm.
at the same time, like how, I guess, at what point is enough, like of giving up for yourself? So, yeah.
And what was your answer to that? At what point is enough?
Um, I honestly don't know really
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
as far as like I think for me I realized it post marriage. I realized
Mm,
like how much stuff I like let go of for the sake of making someone else satisfied.
hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I forgot how much I love to travel. Like
Hmm.
first, I thought I was running away, but it wasn't. It was actually like, girl,
This
you've
is
been doing this before marriage,
hmm.
and
Hmm.
like, girl, this
Hmm.
ain't new.
Hmm.
And so, like, those type of things are just like having like still quiet moments and being
Hmm.
able to just meditate in the morning on a Saturday morning, like wake up Saturday morning and be like, oh, quiet house. Oh, yes,
Hmm.
love this. Like
Hmm.
those type of moments, like just having that peace in that. And I feel like I
Hmm.
lost a lot of those things and didn't realize it until post marriage. So,
Hmm. So you realize you lost a lot of those things. Now, did you think you had to give it up? Or like talk to me through as to like why you lost it? Now
Yeah.
in your in of course hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, I think the reason why I felt like I lost it was
Mm-hmm.
more so wanting to, like I mentioned, I'm a fixer. I am
Mm-hmm.
by profession, I am the person to make everything happen at
Mm-hmm.
work. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, I fill the gaps at pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. And so from that angle, it's like if I see your goal and your vision and whatever you got, I'm a ride or die for it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a ride it till the wheels fall off and I'm gonna make sure you get there. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's like, oh shoot, I forgot that I also have my own dreams and
Mm-hmm.
ambitions as
Mm-hmm.
well too. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that that's where um that's kind of like an example of
Got
pretty
you. Got you. Got you.
that occur.
So how long were you married?
Yeah, we were married for about 5 years.
5 years. Okay. And at what point, at what point did you realize this isn't a bump that therapy can fix? Well, first, did you try? Did y'all try therapy?
Yeah, we did try therapy,
Mm-hmm.
but it quickly became a self-therapy and
Mm,
it didn't work for us.
got you. Got you. And so you realize, this isn't just a bump. This is cue boys to men end of the road.
It is the end of the
I'm not gonna
road.
sing to y'all, but
It is the end of the road.
a part of me was like, hit it, but I was like, girl, don't you do it to the people ears. Oh, I love you. So, end of the road. Now, when you realize, because there's something that I want to ask permission before I share about the
Mhm,
end of the road, but when you were kind of in this like middle ground of like, let's try therapy,
mhm.
what was your mindset? Like, were you like, oh, you said you're a fixer. Were you just kind of dead set on like, oh, we gonna fix this because marriage is forever? Was that kind of like how you were thinking about
Yeah,
that?
that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I actually was like super scattered brain. Like one moment I'd be like on a high, and the next moment I'd be like on a dead low.
Mm,
And I feel like throughout the process, like, because I am a fixer, yes, I was always set on like, hey, there's something that we can do in order to make this work. Like, what is it?
mhm,
Like, is it therapy? Is it like, rekindling something? Like, what does
mhm,
that look like? Like,
mhm,
what is, I guess, how do we bring the joy back into it pretty much? And
mhm,
so when from there, I just, those are some, I guess that was one thing as far as like being a fixer, but at also the same time, it was just like it was just so much going on in my mind. Like,
I
I
bet.
mean, plus it was during like COVID and quarantine as well too. So
Mm,
I was literally going through all of this by myself in the house and all of these emotions.
mm,
And I'm already an overthinker. So I'm like, what if, shoulda, coulda, woulda, had
right,
all of
right,
this
right.
stuff. And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it was just a whole bunch of plethora
Mhm,
of thoughts that kind of went through it. But yeah, me being a fixer, and me understanding that I didn't get married to get divorced type of thing.
mhm,
Like I'm like, all right, cool. We and that was the goal. But I don't know
mhm,
like at what point in time the goal was like, it's changing. This is
mhm,
not the goalpost anymore.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
had to quickly realize that, that that's okay because I beat myself up a lot about just like having or going through this in a public light as well too. Like that was
mhm,
very challenging for me because I'm a very private person. Like
mhm,
I don't like I go out sometimes, but if I go out, it's a surprise. Like, oh, surprise! Oh, hey, Dari, she's outside, like that thing. But for me, it was not necessarily be a people pleaser, but at the same time, I don't want folks to kind of look at me in a negative light. And that's how I kind of
mhm,
felt and took this. But I had to
mhm,
change my mindset and say, it's not a negative light. It's your experience, girl. Like this is what you
mhm,
are going through. This is what you have to, this is your journey pretty much. And
mhm,
it does nobody else has to go through this with you or for
mhm,
you. This is you. And so once I let go of those like doubts and fears and, perfectness type of thing, I think that that's where I just became at peace about a lot of things. Like,
mhm.
like I don't want to fight for someone or anyone that does not want or deserve my love, so
Mhm,
or receiving it either. And so
mhm,
I'm just
mhm,
like, okay, cool. Well, I
mhm,
think that's when I kind of like let everything go, let my hair down. I was like, forget it. I'm focusing on me. Like this
mhm,
is
mhm.
type of thing. So
So in the internal narrative of you, I'm wondering, and I don't know if you were thinking in this way. uh, when in your mind did you realize, or did you even realize that the preconceived notions of marriage and the fight and your now understanding of marriage was kind of different?
mhm.
Did you ever kind of realize that in that process?
Yeah, definitely
Mhm.
did, especially in therapy. I think that's
Mm,
when I had my aha moment, or through conversations with my ex as well too. It was just like we were on two different pages in life. Like
mm,
that was an eye-opening experience for me. And
mm,
so I think I mean it was revealed to me, like I wasn't walking through very naive, like, oh,
mhm, mhm,
I'll make this work, girl,
mhm,
type of thing. But I think that as I those I guess my aha moment was in therapy. I would say, like,
mhm,
I would every morning, like, I pray to God and I'm like, hey God, I need you to reveal to me what you need to reveal to me, or show me what you need to, show me, or give
mhm,
me the eyes to ear and I mean eyes to see and the ears to hear, like
mhm,
allow, like, basically just being an open vessel through this
mhm,
whole process. And then
mhm,
as I was doing that, I feel like, and having those meditation moments with him, I was able to one, be very clear about where my faults in the marriage, as well as what are some
mhm,
things that potentially my ex could have been struggling with from
mhm,
a growing up perspective
mhm,
that might have lingered on to what our marriage was. And so
mhm, mhm.
just like those different, I think that was my aha moments. And I had no choice but to face them all because it's
Mm,
quarantine and we're by
mm.
ourselves.
Oh, that's right. And it's so interesting about the internal look, because a lot of people don't want to admit that, a marriage is two people and there are egregious things that happen, but there are self things that you don't realize stems from childhood that you
Yeah.
bring into a relationship blindly. I would say for me, transparently, I struggle with abandonment.
Mhm.
I didn't know that at the time, like that was the actual thing. And so I clung to not not being alone. I was looking almost to for a savior or a person or and suppressing all kind of like all my flags and all the things I knew to be true about me so that I wouldn't be alone and so that I wouldn't be abandoned was kind of like one of the biggest like aha thing for me to be like, oh, I gotta go. Yes, there's marriage counseling and therapy, but there's like also like
Oh,
self therapy that I had to go work out
yeah.
some of my things. Did you experience something similar?
Definitely. I think when
Mm-hmm.
I was, doing my internal review of myself, I
Mm-hmm.
quickly realized that mine was rejection. And
Mm-hmm.
going through my separation and divorce, it was like a trigger moment for me. Like I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
was rejected in
Mm-hmm.
being a wife or wanting to be married, or
Mm-hmm.
like in some ways, and bleeding over to abandonment as well too. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was a whole bunch
Mm-hmm.
of feelings, only because like my father was a great guy. He really was, but he just did not know how to be with my mom pretty much. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um with that being said, like I mean, and being so young as well too, like I just never really understood like why he would leave all the time. And so from
Mm-hmm.
that angle, that's where I really like struggled with rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that moment also triggered me in my marriage as well too. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
that was a huge struggle for me.
Mm-hmm. So you decide you're at the, fork of the road, and the road, cue boys to men. And you start in the middle of the pandemic, which, woo, I'm so sorry about the loneliness that probably was for you. what were some of the tools you used to get to like your place of, okay, it's divorce
Hmm.
and tackling that?
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know what to experience, or Google
Go to say
what does
go on the
divorce look like?
interwebs,
Divorce
right?
101.
What?
No, like what is
No,
this?
that's so real because you start to explore your fixer. We're similar in that way. You start to explore some ain't right. And similar, you go online and you like look up divorce. For me,
Mhm.
it was so much information and it was kind of like, where do I start? And then I remember I called the lawyer and the
Mhm.
lawyer made me so afraid I became frozen, like frozen in everything. And I
Mhm.
stayed frozen for probably like another 7 years.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes, I was you were you in it, I was in it for
Yeah.
14, but I knew the marriage year 5, year 7 were real tough, but it's similar to you. I'm gonna tough it out. I made this commitment, but the
Mhm.
toughing it out was making me so sad and angry, and
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about it
Yeah.
either because
Yeah.
you don't want nobody to know your business, and they
Mhm.
tell you keep your stuff
Keep
about you and your
your
spouse
marriage
to
at home.
yourself because you don't want your family's never going to forgive if
Exactly.
and then we're in the church and honey, he was in
Eddie.
ministry, so
That
there was this
night.
all of these there were so many masks that
Yeah.
I realized I was wearing, and it was wearing on me,
Yeah.
and I just was silent.
Yeah. That's
And it
real.
was, yeah,
That
yeah.
is so much. That is very much real. I would say
Hmm.
because like I hold a lot of things internally as well too. I'm
Hmm.
considered the strong friend amongst a lot of my friend groups.
Hmm.
So it was just like, I'm holding this in. Like again,
Hmm.
you grew up in the church, you keep home stuff at
Listen,
home,
keep your home stuff at home. You better hold on to your Bible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Shout out
like,
to all
I
those.
didn't really tell people about it. Like,
Hmm.
I had no idea like what my struggles were, like
Hmm.
how like mentally what I was going through, or
Hmm.
like I might
Hmm.
have looked like I was okay and sunshine and things of that nature, but I internally I was girl, the mask was masking. Let's just put
Yes, with the red lip.
it okay. It
and
was
and the
nasty.
edge was edging.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
that was a huge struggle. I guess when I decided to, because when I enough is enough for me was like, you know what, I can't do this by myself no more. And I was like, I'm calling and talking to my friend every day. Like she literally checked in with me every day, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna just tell her because she's already like very discerning. She's like, girl, I know something wrong with you. I know you ain't telling me, but I'm gonna still check in with
Oh,
you.
shout out to the friends who know your friend, and you're
Oh,
like, I know something's going on. I'm gonna still check on you, even though you lying to me. We appreciate y'all.
exactly.
Thank you for holding us down. I have
100%
a
though.
few. I have a few. Um, so back to Google. So you type up divorce 411
Yes.
and you had to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, I did. I kind of honestly, as I was doing that, I felt like it did get kind of overwhelming. Like it's a whole bunch of things
Hmm.
that to look up, it's like, all right, well, shoot, I live in Ohio. Like laws are different than it is anywhere else. So like what does that mean? Like type of thing. But as I began to, open up to my friends and family about it, folks would, I kind of just reach out to my resources. I'm like, there's nothing less I can lose at this point in life. So it was
Hmm.
just like, hey,
Hmm.
hey girl, I know you're a lawyer. This ain't your practice, but do you have somebody that I could talk
Hmm.
to about X, Y, and Z?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, as I begin to, just be more vulnerable in that area, I
Hmm.
think that's another release as well too for me because it was just like,
Hmm.
girl, it's okay. Like
Hmm.
you going through it, but you don't have to go through it alone. You
Hmm.
so choose not to.
Mhm. Did you ever doubt your faith in the process?
Yes, I did. I
Talk about
did.
that.
Um, I did because it was like, Lord, I done prayed, I done fasted, I done wrote this
I'm
list out.
skinny. No.
about this man. You done brought this man to me,
Mm-hmm.
and look where we at. Like, so I think that, and then I started doubting God. I'm like, all right, Lord, like what's the lesson in this lesson? Like, what you trying to tell me? What,
Mm-hmm.
what am I
Mm-hmm.
supposed to learn throughout this? Because I'm not getting it. Like, I don't understand. Like,
Mm-hmm.
help me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also felt like, just very candidly, I felt like the church kind of disappointed me too, because it was like, oh, girl, you good, go home. I'm sorry, what? I told you I'm struggling. Like,
Not
what?
you good, go home.
Like,
Submit it
what?
to the prayer team.
Submitted to the prayer team, go home. I was like, oh no,
Mm-hmm.
that's not it. And so, yeah. And so from that angle, when I felt like I got, again, the rejection from that, and then I felt like God also rejected me, it was like, so what's that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on now. But then then I had to like really go back into it and be like, all right, Dari, like don't harden your heart. Like, don't close your mind. And as I, began to do that, I mean, that's like my Christianity is like what I live, breathe, and that's my foundation. Like, if I don't have
Right.
nothing else to fall back on, that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
following on. And as I was beginning to refuse that and like question that and all of those things, I had to quickly like check myself, like, girl, get up out of this. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
nothing but like a tactic to get you off of your A game, distract you from what you really are supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And just don't let those like methods and tactics kind of weigh you down.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I definitely had a whole struggle of going back and forth, like, Lord, you done gave me this man. I done prayed, I done fasted. My friends done prayed and fasted. My mama
Mm-hmm.
done prayed and fasted. Like,
Your
the
mom
church
start praying
said,
and fasting. Like, yeah.
the church blessed it. I'm just like, okay,
Mhm.
like this is just a lot for me to take on in order for it to fail. So
What's interesting, and I was talking to a friend about my experience, and they said, well, did the Lord tell you to even marry this person?
mm,
Boop. I thought it was the Lord,
a doubt,
but I
real doubt.
and again, and this is a specific conversation for individuals who are part of the church. I thought I had the blessing of the church, and my ex-husband was a part of the church and, lived and worked at the church and was in ministry. But I confused that with the gut check from
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
And I'm gonna be real. He never said this is the guy. I just thought, oh, everyone else in the church believed in it. I was new to the church, that church, and I just went with it. Right.
yeah,
And so you talk about like, well, everybody in a blessing is two different scenarios, but I definitely didn't check in to be like, oh, is this the person for me? I
yeah.
just went with it, which is
Or
very
you
interesting.
lose, or you lose the true vision of it only for the sake of wanting to be married or wanting to have a
Mm-hmm.
partner or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
wanting to check that check mark off on your list of life. So
Right? No, 100%, 100%. All right. So resources, information. What were your friends thinking and saying to you about this?
yeah, so
And
I had friends that was like, girl, tell me to pull up if you need me to pull up.
mhm,
And I
mhm.
also had friends that were like, okay, well, where can I support you? Like, very grounded,
Mhm,
very, things of that nature. So, I mean, and I also have friends who've experienced, divorce as well too. So
mhm,
again, leaning on your
mhm,
network and
mhm.
understanding
Yeah.
what's the phases, like,
What's
you know, all of that stuff.
what's
So
the
yeah.
I yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll take you back to when I found out, and I found out via email.
Mhm.
I'd like to go back to that email, please,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, because, and again, I knew you through your husband, and I got to love and learn and spend time with both of you guys, and my interaction was always pleasant, and no idea, and so. And the email, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I was like, what the hell? Like, It was, ladies and gentlemen, Dari and
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
remember, I can't remember who the email came from, but I remember the shock of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I mean, I reached out to both of you and was like, you guys, and of course, you shared with me what was going on. But how did you guys get to a place where you decided you wanted to email your friend? It was almost like your friends and families. What's that? What's the sale you get friends and family sale?
Family sale. F&F sale.
How did you guys get there?
Well, honestly, it was a huge argument between the both of us on
Gotcha, gotcha.
sending this out. This was his decision on what he wanted to do based off of some things that he was going through in life,
Okay.
and he wanted to make sure that he showed face based off of what he was doing out on the scene,
Mhm.
pretty much. And
Got
so,
you, got you.
but yeah, the email to me was very impersonable. That was the whole argument for me. Two, it was, why do we need to tell these people? Because it wasn't just friends and family on there. It was also like people who did not need to be on there as well, too.
Mhm, mhm.
And so like for me, it was like a huge struggle for me, that email. Like everybody's like, wow. Once the email got out, he realized that it was a mistake. He should have never done it, gone with it, gone through it, or even did any of that. Off based off of like friends just telling him, like, why would you do that? Like, or why
Mhm,
did you think that people needed to know in this format or know it all type of
mhm,
thing?
mhm.
But because it wasn't even an email that said like we're divorced, it was like we're separated. Like,
Yes, I listen, and it was like two sentences.
yeah.
Um, and but being that I received the email and I knew you both, and whenever I hear someone is separated, and when I hear someone is getting divorced, I'm just so empathetic to that because you don't make that decision lightly,
Hmm.
right? And people think that when someone actually now publicly announces, oh, we're separated, and actually no one ever knew until I guess this platform that I even was divorced. Um, you go through bouts and bouts of things before you even get to a place of like, this is the end, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I empathize with him in that way. I guess in his mind, that was a way to like check the box of like, well, this is the announcement,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to cover off on the communication to share that. But I also just realized like, oh, what it must have been like for both of you guys to be in COVID and trying to figure this out, quarantined, um, and how lonely that must have been,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I just want to say, I just acknowledge that, and I'm not aloof to the fact of how hard that must have been for both of you.
Yeah.
Um, so as you think about like the process, okay, everybody knows child, you figuring it out. What what was your grief process?
Yeah. I don't handle grief well at all. Like, I honestly
Mm,
am not an emotional person
mhm,
whatsoever. But I will say
mm,
that this process probably like broke my back.
mm,
Like broke me down. Like, I will cry and a beat in the hat now. Like,
mm.
I'll share my
Okay.
emotions. Do all that type of stuff because like I've never been that type of person. Like, as I mentioned
Mhm,
before, like I've always been like the strong friend with
mhm,
everybody, like holding it down for everybody. Girl, it's cool. Like, you can cry, but I'm good. Like, we got this. What's our
mhm,
next steps?
mhm,
What we about
mhm,
to do? But
mhm,
for me, I think this process, it definitely like it wore me out, like
mhm,
completely wore me out. And I couldn't just, it was like a plethora. It was like work, added along to this, as long, that stressful environment, along with, going through a divorce, along with, trying to make sure, my family's good because they're older and we going through a whole pandemic scenario. So it was
mhm.
just so much, so many layers added to it. And I just could not take it no more. So for me, I think that grief, it what I've learned in this process is that it takes stages. And I went through a stage of trying to be strong, and and then I went through stages of like just crying in the beat of a hat, like see
Mm,
somebody walking down the park holding their hands, like cry, phew, like
mm,
that type of thing.
mhm,
But then I was just like, I can't, like, I was, I wasn't like masking the fact that I cannot go through these, but I guess I was just trying to control my,
mm.
and so,
And even control how to grieve.
and how to grieve. Yeah.
Mm,
So that's when I seeked out therapy for, internally myself. And I was just able to kind of put pieces together without having
mhm,
to worry about somebody else's pieces. Like, just like,
mhm,
what are you, like, what's you? Like,
mhm,
how are you navigating through this successfully? How are you breathing every day? How is your hair not falling out? Type of
mhm,
thing.
mhm,
So, like, how can, what can you do in order to successfully do that and have a healthy grieving process as well, too? So, went through therapy, still going through it. Love my therapist. Shout out to her.
mhm.
Um, the journaling is also one thing as well too. I wake up every morning at 7 a.m. on the dot. I go out.
Mhm.
Get up, girl. It's time to, do your devotion. It's time to journal. It's time to, you know, write down and release everything that you probably were that was weighing on your shoulders, type of thing. So, but grief is real, and and I would say that because so many people handle it in different ways. For me, I think it honestly opened up my emotions and allowed me to be emotional.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
because I've never been that type of person ever. Like, my father passed when I was 16 and I barely cried. Like, that type of thing. I held it internally. I was like, okay, I'm going back to school, y'all. Like that type of,
mm,
masking.
mhm, mhm,
So yeah, I think this as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that I can't hold everything internally. I can't be the shero that, everybody expects on a daily
mhm,
basis. Like, she
mhm.
has emotions, she has feelings, she has you know, internal things that also need to be released as well too.
Yeah. It's so funny because, and I go back to you being a fixer and the fixer of everybody's lives. What happens when the fixer now has broken pieces that needs to be
Mhm. Fixed,
fixed,
minge,
mend,
glue back
and what
together.
that process is like, and who had to kind of help you put that together. It's sounding like you had to go outside of your circle,
Yeah.
for therapy. I- When I think about my own experience, and while the marriage ended a while, we actually the divorce finalized during pandemic time, and I thought, because it was such a long process,
Mhm.
for me, and a long process because I had two young kids, and there are things I just had to wait out. Um, I thought I was gonna be just like as happy as can be, like twerking the streets. I'm out, I'm free, divorced AF.
I-
Um, no, I didn't realize that I'd be sad. I
yeah.
didn't realize that I'd have to grieve. I thought, oop, and I'm a list checker. Listen, give me something, I'm gonna get it done. And I didn't realize that I had to handle. First, I didn't realize that I would be sad. That took me for a loop. And I also didn't realize how to handle that sadness. I had to like figure out, well, why are you sad?
Yeah.
Because you've been looking forward to this ending of this thing for so
Yeah.
long. Like, girl, get yourself together. And I had to, and I didn't, what I realized, and I think the realization of that self-discovery of emotions and being vulnerable, and the story I told myself about marriage, and the story I told myself about what it meant to be a divorced person, a divorced Black woman.
Yeah.
And ooh, I was a statistic. All of these
Mhm.
things, these narratives I had to unpack and deal with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and just happened to be around my birthday too. I was like, you know.
Let's struggle.
Um, so, shifting gears and talking about your love story, your
Mhm.
personal love story, and what you've learned about yourself in this. Talk to me about now your new beginnings, about your post-divorce,
Yeah.
obviously, and what did you learn about yourself and where you are now in your journey?
Yeah. So I'm 2 years post, and I would
Mm-hmm.
say honestly, I am first year was hard for me. But
What made it hard?
hard meaning like as you mentioned, like you have all of these goals and expectations for yourself, and all of a sudden one doesn't necessarily pan out to be okay. And now
Mhm.
you that's failed. And what does failure look like? How to get over sadness, how to grieve, like all of that. Like I said, I was happy, but I really wasn't like truly
Mm. Now
satisfied.
you said you were happy in the after the marriage is over. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, and I guess because it was just it was a challenge for me. Like I've never failed at anything in life, and this was my first failure. I felt.
Mm.
So it was just like, all right, cool, girl. Like that's cool. Like I was still
Ah,
outside,
that's
but
cool. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was still outside, but it was just like a very somber outside. I don't know how to
Hmm.
explain that, but
Hmm.
I can say this year I am in a way better space. I can breathe, type of thing. I can actually see the light, you know. And I can be me, and I understand who me is in order for her to be successful, professionally or personally. I know what that looks like for me. And I think that it was a whole like spiritual journey for me just walking through that. And I asked, the Lord, like, I was like, what do you want me to learn from this? And I think that didn't learn anything else, it was to, what does Dari like? What does she want to do? Like, what makes her
Mhm.
happy? What gives her satisfaction? What brings her joy? Like, I think that beyond everything else, that is what I learned through this.
Yourself, your
So
true self.
yeah.
Wow.
So
There's one thing you said that I want to kind of explore a little bit more about. I never failed at anything and I failed at this. But if the end goal was a new learning of you, a true learning of you, do you think it was a failure?
no, I don't think no. I don't. I would definitely, if you could put it that way, I would say
Mhm.
no. But just, I guess, y- when you have everything laid, kind of laid out like your life, pretty much.
The plan.
One little hiccup, happened.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I would say it was a blessing in disguise. But at the
Yeah.
same time,
Yeah.
I think that it was a wave of roller coasters in order to get to the
Hmm.
blessing.
Yeah. So talk to a listener who's hearing your story. What do you want to say to them about the ending of a thing?
Yeah. Um, I would say don't fear. Don't live in fear.
Mhm.
Because fear
Mhm.
is what puts doubt and, gets you down a road of unexpectation that you weren't even supposed to go down, because you're,
Mhm.
you're moving in fear.
Mhm.
Fear just masks a lot of things that that hinders you from being the max potential person that you can ever be.
Mhm.
And I would just say let go of fear and move in your greatness. Also, just have the heart to, be loved, to give love, and to receive love, because it's so easily and quickly to shut it down because of all of the roller coaster of emotions. But at the same time, you're still human. You have to give
Mhm.
yourself grace in it. And
Mhm.
there is, like, I'm a lovey girl. Like, I'm a love girl. So,
Mhm.
and I have to quickly realize that don't harden your heart. So receive love, give love, and receive and be able to be loved.
Mhm. So you get married again?
If that's the
Ooh,
case,
it
that's
was
the plan. If
why the
if
three F's?
if
If.
that's the case.
I love that question because it's like, I know a lot. I know a lot. But I also know a lot about like myself and just like the boundaries
Mhm.
and like the non-negotiables.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a continual process of like, oh, okay, okay, you don't like
Oh,
that,
it's a
or
new
oh,
process.
oh, I didn't, yeah, no, but like,
And then you get older too, and you know what you like and don't like, and
well,
go put
there's
up
that.
with it, what you not. So it's
Hmm. Yes. Yes, yes. And also to what are some of the things that I can actually deal with that I didn't think I could
Yeah.
with the understanding of what the construct is, right? So I think that's for me. So what would be, as we wind down, what is your one thing, your lived truth?
I would say my lived truth is that you are stronger and greater than what you think that you are. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
no matter like what, if you've had a perfect life or, had a little hiccup here and there throughout
Mhm.
life, like no matter what, you are strong and capable to get through whatever you think that is the hardest mountain to climb.
There you have it. Dari done said it. You are stronger and you are resilient and you can do hard things. Thank you for listening. We want to express our heartfelt gratitude to our incredible community. Your strength and resilience shine brightly. And together, we're creating a safe space filled with solace, guidance, and inspiration. If you resonated with today's episode, share with anyone who might find comfort and support this conversation. Let's spread warmth and encouragement and hope. Join the Lived community on social channels. It's Lived Stories on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, where you can connect with like-minded women, share your story, and access even more trusted resources. Until next time, take care and remember, you're not alone in this journey. You are stronger than you think, and you can do hard things.